In February 2024, a lawyer in New York submitted a legal brief to court. It was well written, properly formatted, and cited 6 previous cases as precedent. There was just one problem. None of those cases existed, not one. The lawyer had used ChatGPT to research the citations, and ChatGPT had invented them, completely fabricated case names, fake judges, fictional rulings. The lawyer was fined and nearly disbarred. This is not a rare glitch. This is a fundamental feature of how AI works. And if you don't understand why it happens, you're going to be the next person caught trusting a machine that doesn't know the difference between truth and convincing fiction. So why does AI get things wrong? There are 5 main reasons, and none of them are bugs that will be fixed in the next update. They're baked into the architecture. Reason number 1, AI doesn't know things. It predicts things. This is the most important thing to understand. When you ask ChatGPT a factual question, it doesn't look up the answer in a database. It doesn't search for truth. It generates the sequence of words that is most statistically likely to follow your question, based on patterns it learned during training. If you ask, who was the first person on the moon? It doesn't retrieve the fact, Neil Armstrong. It predicts that the most likely next words after that question, based on the billions of texts it was trained on, are Neil Armstrong. In this case, the most likely answer and the correct answer happen to be the same. But that's a coincidence of statistics, not a guarantee of accuracy. When the correct answer is rare, obscure, or contradicted by common misconceptions in the training data, the most likely prediction and the truth diverge. And the AI will confidently give you the wrong answer because it's the statistically expected one. Reason number 2, hallucinations. This is the term the AI industry uses for when a model generates information that sounds plausible but is completely fabricated. The lawyer's fake court cases are a perfect example. The model had seen thousands of legal citations during training. It learned the pattern, case name versus court, year. So when asked for citations, it generated text that matched the pattern perfectly. It just didn't correspond to anything real. Hallucinations happen because the model is optimized to produce fluent, natural-sounding text, not accurate text. Fluency and accuracy are different things. A sentence can be grammatically perfect, stylistically appropriate, and completely false. The model cannot tell the difference because it has no concept of truth. It has a concept of probability. Reason number 3, training data is everything. An AI model can only know what was in its training data. If the training data contains errors, the model learns those errors. If the training data contains biases, the model reproduces those biases. If the training data is missing information about a topic, the model will either say nothing useful or, more dangerously, fill the gap with plausible-sounding fabrications. Here's a concrete example. Early image generation models were trained heavily on Western Internet data. When you asked them to generate an image of a doctor, they overwhelmingly produced images of white men in lab coats. Not because doctors are mostly white men, but because the training images were. The AI didn't have an opinion about what doctors look like. It had a data set, and the data set was skewed. The same thing happens with text. If the internet contains more conspiracy theories about a topic than scientific papers, the model may lean toward the conspiracy theory because it's the more common pattern in the data. The model doesn't evaluate sources. It doesn't distinguish between a Nobel laureate's paper and a random blog post. To the model, all text is just text. Reason number 4, sycophancy. Modern AI models have been fine-tuned to be helpful and agreeable. This is mostly a good thing. You don't want a rude assistant, but it has a side effect. The model tends to agree with you even when you're wrong. If you say, the capital of Australia is Sydney, right? Many AI models will say, yes, that's correct, because agreeing with the user is the most likely response in the fine-tuning data. The actual answer is Canberra, but the model's training reward signal says, be helpful, be agreeable, don't argue. So it agrees with your mistake rather than correcting you. This is called sycophancy, and it's one of the most subtle and dangerous failure modes because it means the AI is least reliable exactly when you need it most, when you're already wrong and need someone to tell you. Reason number 5, no real-time information. The base models of ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and others have a training data cutoff. They don't know what happened after that date. They don't read news. They don't browse the internet in real time. When you ask about recent events, the model either says, I don't have information about that, the correct response, or generates a plausible sounding answer based on outdated patterns, the dangerous response. Some systems now add web search as an external tool, feeding real-time results into the model's context. This helps, but it doesn't eliminate the problem. The model still has to decide what to do with those search results, and it can still misinterpret, cherry-pick, or hallucinate on top of real data. So what should you do? First, never use AI as a sole source of truth for anything that matters. Legal citations, medical advice, financial decisions, historical facts. Always verify with a primary source. The AI is a first draft, not a final answer. Second, be especially skeptical when the AI sounds most confident. Confidence and accuracy are not correlated in language models. The model sounds equally sure whether it's telling you a verified fact or a complete fabrication. Third, ask the AI to show its reasoning. If you ask, why do you think that? You can often spot when the reasoning is circular or based on nothing. A good answer has a logical chain. A hallucinated answer has vibes. Fourth, use AI for what it's good at. Brainstorming, drafting, summarizing, explaining concepts, generating ideas, writing code that you will then test. Don't use it as an oracle. Use it as a very fast, very enthusiastic, very unreliable intern. Check its work. AI is an extraordinary tool, but it is a tool, and like any tool, it works best when you understand both its strengths and its limits. The limits are not temporary, they're structural. The day AI stops hallucinating is the day it stops being a language model and becomes something else entirely. We're not there yet, and now you know why.